Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So today we get to take a look at the latest generation for the Chevrolet Camaro. This is a ZL1 provided by Randy Marion Chevrolet. Definitely take a look at their website. That link is down in the description. We have a very beautiful Riverside blue metallic for this Camaro. They also have a starting MSRP just over $67,000. Now, powering the ZL1, this has a 6.2 liter supercharged V8 paired to the 6-speed manual transmission, pumping out 650 horsepower, 650 pound-feet of torque. That power is sent to the rear wheels, propelling this 4,000-pound coupe from 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. Top speed is just shy of 200 miles an hour. This also has a fuel capacity of 19 gallons. You'll expect to see around 14 miles per gallon in the city, 20 out on the highway. This also has a wheelbase of 110.7 inches. Its overall length is 190.2. It has a width of 75 and a height of 52.9 inches. As we move on to the exterior styling now for this ZL1, right off the bat you can tell there's a big difference between the lower trim levels and the top trim level with this ZL1. What you'll notice that's different is the massive grille that provides plenty of cutouts. There's a smaller grille up top, but the Chevy bow tie is also hollow, giving you that much more airflow to the front engine components. And then there are massive inlets on both sides straight through to provide a lot more airflow. All of that is finished off in gloss black, which is a really nice touch against this blue. And this even has the massive gloss black front splitter going from end to end, of course. ZL1 badge is also over on that driver's side. And in line with that upper grille, this has a very thin set of housings for the LED headlights and DRLs. Now the DRLs also extend to that trim piece in the lower section, which is really neat to see. And then up top, the biggest difference is this hood scoop. It's finished off in carbon fiber with the ZL1 badge, and it is functional underneath. So airflow can travel through the upper grille, shoot right up over the car, over that hood scoop, and be on its way. Especially being off in carbon fiber, it's a really nice touch to see. Now for the side, this has a set of 20-inch wheels, finished off in dark gray, great contrast against this blue. This also has the ZL1 badge on those massive 6-piston brake calipers. 4 pistons are in the rear. Body colored side mirrors, gloss black for the lower side skirt. It actually protrudes out in this back section here, so it gives it a really nice look. And this model even has the sunroof, not something you see much on the Camaros, at least the ones that I've filmed and reviewed. All of the window trim is gloss black too. Really nice line in that lower section. You can see a few in the upper section, and then one just above that gas cap for this rear fender arch, which sticks out a good bit, giving it some good definition. Now in back, this has a pretty large trunk mounted spoiler that's finished off in that blue. Third brake light. This has LED taillights with that 3D dimensional design to them, which is nice to see. There's a backup camera, sensors, gloss black in the lower diffuser, and that quad tip dual exhaust. Now on pretty much all of the Camaros, you can do the remote start with the manual option. You do not get that, of course. But on the key fob, you can use the button to open the trunk, or more conveniently, just up underneath, just push on that and you can release the trunk. Now there's a good bit of space for this 4-seater vehicle. However, the one drawback I will say is just how small this opening is to get in some items. But once you get them in and through, you actually have a good bit of space. There's a little bit of space underneath the floor, and then the entire back seat will fold down as one piece if you have some longer items to get through. So if you want an extremely performance-oriented sports car and you want one that has practicality, best of both worlds right here. Now as we work our way to the interior, you can lock this. You can just grab the door handle to unlock it, of course. This door panel has alcantara, which is great to see. All of the red stitching, interior ambient lighting with that brushed aluminum piece. There's a trunk release, Bose audio, memory seating adjustments, window and side mirror controls, and a little bit of storage in that back section. Camaro is spelled out on the door sill there, and we have a combination of alcantara and leather for these Recaro seats. We have all of the automatic adjustments down on the side, really nice bolstering support for them. Now, if I move the backrest forward just by pulling on that tab, from there you do need to reach down and move this seat forwards. So that will give me plenty of room to hop into these back seats. And at 5'10", it's not as bad as you think. Legroom over here, of course, is non-existent, but you can slide that seat forward to accommodate that. Wireless charging in the middle. We have some armrests. Now, you're not buying a ZL1 to put people in the back seat. If I needed to go 5 minutes, I could make it work. Maybe if you want this amount of space for your kids, they're obviously much smaller, you can at least bring your kids with you and still have a functional sports car. Not really meant for full-size adults, so you're not really going to be back here often, but it gives you a lot more interior space if you need to use it, and then you can jump out and lock that seat back into place. Now you do have to reach down and move it backwards in order to get nice and comfy. Now with the ZL1, we have the Alcantara steering wheel, ZL1 badge, flat bottom design too. There's favorites along with volume, and then we have cruise control, heated steering wheel, Bluetooth voice commands, and then the controls underneath that are for the gauge cluster. So let's fire this up. With my foot on the brake and the clutch, we have Alcantara surrounding this shifter. Let's put it into neutral there, bring this to life. And looking at the gauge cluster, attack is on the left side, miles per hour are on the right side, and in the digital screen in the middle, the upper section is actually fixed. So there's fuel level, engine temperature, and you can look at a few other vitals, and then underneath that, we can go through a lot more. So as you just saw, there's miles per hour. You can go to trip information, reset all of that, and monitor that as needed. Then you can go down to more trip, you have fuel range, there's even a few other vitals like TPMS. You have some timers that you can look at, even a blank page too. Now if I go over to the left side, that was under info. If we enter performance now, you have a lot more vitals that you can take a look at, and just depending on what you like to see, even the electronic limited rear slip that you can monitor. There's audio, navigation, phone, and then different options and settings you can go into for launch control, and a few other units that you can set up as needed. So a good bit of info front and center. Now on the left side, this does have head-up display. So currently it is showing miles per hour right now, and I can adjust that, moving it up and down, and then I can also pull up the music, the compass. Hopefully you can see that. Now there's the tach with your G's, as well as the miles per hour, and then we're back to just miles per hour, and then you can make it brighter or dim it. So a good bit of info for that head-up display. And then right in the middle, with this touchscreen system, we have the home icon, so we can get to this split screen with music, phone, and navigation. And then you can swipe over to Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. You have settings to go into, navigation. You can even go through the ambient lighting and go through an array of colors depending on what you'd like to see, climate adjustments. We even have the PDR, which is the performance data recorder. You do have to put in an SD card in order for this to work, and then you can record your lap times or do it on the track, something like that, which is pretty cool to have. And then there's numerous shortcuts in the lower section to further go through that info. Now there's also a physical button for home, as well as power and volume. There's tuning, and then a back button too. Underneath that, we have the heated and ventilated seat controls for driver and passenger, your power for the climates, where you'd like the air to go, fan speed, and defrosters. Now what's really cool is that you can actually twist the AC control for your temperature for driver and passenger. Really neat to see that incorporated into that trim piece itself. Hazards are underneath that. We have that 6-speed manual. All the way to the right and up is for reverse. So there's the backup camera with the guidelines. And then of course we have the rest of these 6 gears to go through. Behind that, traction control along with the different driving modes. So this has Tour, Sport, Track, Snow, and Ice. So if you feel a little gutsy, you want to take this out in the snow, you have a mode for that. E-brake is behind that. There's a 12-volt, 2 cup holders, and then you do have an armrest, a little bit of space in the back if you need to use that. We have carbon fiber on that passenger side, and then a good bit of storage for any items you'd like to place there. Now up top, there's the dome lights, as well as the adjustments for the sunroof. We have the manual adjustment for the sunshade, and then the automatic adjustments for the sunroof itself. And as far as visibility goes, a lot of people think it's not easy to see, and you have a pillar there, but honestly, it's not as bad as my Audi R8. You do have a good bit of visibility. Set your mirrors up right, and you can easily see around this entire car. But let's go ahead and get this manual American muscle car out on the road. As we set off behind the wheel now for the manual ZL1, this is one of my favorite American muscle cars. I think the Camaro is cool because I see a lot more of the other brands out on the road, and to me, the Camaro just sticks out more because I think they're a little bit more on the rare side, but I think it's the best of both worlds as far as being not too big, but not too small either. I think this is a sweet spot for the American muscle car, and you're right around $70,000 for this, which is a good bit of money, but when you factor in the performance that you get, even with rear wheel drive there, this is a car that you need to know how to drive. It's something that you're not really gonna have this as your first vehicle. You might wanna start off with a Camaro and work your way up to this. But this is a track weapon. This is something that you can take on back roads. This car isn't so crazy that you couldn't daily drive it. This is something that it's not really loud under a normal acceleration like I'm getting up now. You have that exhaust note, which, let's face it, if you're buying this, that's something that of course you want to hear. But it's tame enough to be a daily driver, which I love. But it's also performance oriented enough to go smoke some other cars on the drag strip, on the track. You have literally the best of both worlds with this muscle car. And as far as driving it, it's a lot of fun. I love this manual transmission. Clutch pedal is super light, and the shifter is very engaging. So when you get into that next gear, it's definitely a good feel. You can guide it into that next gear with ease. And it's a sweet car. It's very comfortable for the type of car this is. I do like the materials on the inside here. We have some plastic, take that as you will, but we have a lot of materials to make up for that with the carbon fiber alcantara and everything like that. And as far as ground clearance goes, pretty good. That makes it a lot more daily driver friendly. That sounds good. I love how the Camaros sound. You can make them louder if you want with a different exhaust, but I think they definitely sound really good. I don't think I mentioned earlier that the paddle shifters on the steering wheel are actually for rev matching. Now, I think it's a weird design that both of them do the exact same thing. So you can turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off with the other one, or you can do it yourself if you want to. It's interesting to see them reuse that from the automatic, since you can't get the ZL1 with the automatic transmission. But they're there, and you can use them if you need to. Pedal box is actually pretty good. So if I go into third gear now, I can rev match because the pedal boxes are really close. So I can touch gas and brake. And from second gear, here we go. This definitely gets up and moves. And one thing I want to talk about as far as the driving modes go for this Camaro, with the four that I showed earlier, they don't actually change anything as far as the exhaust note goes. So this doesn't have an active exhaust system that you can use those for. Interesting to see. I kind of wish it had that, but mainly those are just going to modulate your throttle response based on the condition and the mode that you were in. And a cool feature I want to show real quick is the gear skipping. So from first gear here, I will do that where it showed me to shift, and it immediately locked me at a second and put me right into fourth. So I went to shift. You can see I'm in fourth right now. I went to shift from first gear and it pulled it over. If you're not really tracking the car, you know, you're not getting up to speed very quickly, it can just help you save on some MPGs. But now that we're behind the wheel for the $70,000 Chevrolet, I think this is worth every bit of 70 grand. Now you can also get these used, of course, if you want to spend a little bit less, but for 70 grand, the amount of performance that you get is crazy to see right off the factory lot. So literally, once you break this in, you can take this to the drag strip, you have launch control, you can take it to the track. You don't have to do anything to this car. So if you're just looking for a sports car that you can just hop in, learn how to drive it, go have some fun, and you want this to be your only car too, it's absolutely worth it to do both. So that's one cool reason with the Camaro. And of course there's other muscle car options out there too, but I think for the price, I think the Camaro is definitely a good option to go with. There's a huge debate with all three. You pick the one that works best for you. But with this 70 grand, definitely get a good sound. You can't go wrong with that. But I love the user interface too. You don't have a whole lot, but in a car like this, it's just something that you want to get in and drive. You don't need to worry about doing a million different things. Even to me, the ambient lighting is a cool feature, but it's a little bit much for me. I would just have it in one color there. But it really just depends on what you're doing for the day. I think you have plenty to drive this every day. But I think that's going to wrap it up for the Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. Once again, huge shout out to Randy Marion Chevrolet for providing the Camaro for me today. Check out their website. Give this video a huge thumbs up too if you enjoyed it, and consider smashing that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on our daily uploads. I'll see you all in the next video.